Hello everyone, welcome back to another Shnuckatwo video. New York City is so awesome. I know the audio probably sounds a bit different because I'm in my own studio apartment I'm subletting. But basically today, I moved in yesterday, and today was my first official full day in New York. Yesterday I hung out with some of my friends. We ate dinner after moving in. And then today I woke up, and right now I don't have that many friends in New York yet because a lot of my friends have their internships that start a lot later. I'm going to end up having a lot of people I know in New York, but right now I only know a couple people, one of my high school friends. And so his internship has, like, I think, events for the interns to get to know each other. Mine doesn't. So he was just hanging out with the interns today. And so I was like, oh, what am I going to do today? I know nobody in the city right now. I'm going to be so bored. I'm going to stay home all day. But then I woke up in the morning. I'm like, you know what? I'm just hungry. Let me just go to Chinatown. So I biked to Chinatown. It's very nice bike. I never realized that New York is actually pretty bikeable. I really like there's 9 avenues, or in the top half of it, there's 9 avenues. And then there's a bunch of streets. But yeah, I biked down to Chinatown. I live near Midtown. I biked down to Chinatown, and then I wanted to go to this rice rolls place, right? Because it's called Nyc Rice Rolls, and there's a same place in Philly, actually, that goes by the same name, but I think it's a slightly different chain. And so the one in Philly is very good. So I was like, oh, I really want to try this one in New York. And so I walk to the door, and the door says it's cash only. Now the problem is, I'm a minimalist when it comes to carrying things, right? When I go out, all I carry is my phone, my license, and that's it. You might be saying, oh, what? How do you expect to eat at restaurants if you don't have any cards? Well, I just have all my cards on Apple Pay. I just don't like carrying things around. If you don't need to carry your wallet around, why carry your wallet, right? I'm a big proponent of just using Apple Pay wherever you need to, and 99% of the time it works. I've never had a time where I've encountered somewhere and then they tell me, oh, there's no Apple Pay. Well, only in Walmart. Walmart doesn't have Apple Pay for some reason. But everywhere else, probably because Walmart doesn't want to take the Apple Pay commission or something like that. But anyways, everywhere else they have Apple Pay. Restaurants, how you put the card onto the bill? Well, I just asked them, oh, can I Apple Pay? And then you can Apple Pay always, because the POS systems, I think, always have a tap to pay option. So anyways, I thought I could Apple Pay or Venmo, but they were like, no, it's cash only. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't have a bank card. I don't have a debit card, so I can't extract cash. I was walking around. I was thinking maybe I could ask someone to Venmo them for cash. I mean, that probably would have worked too. But I don't know. I was not feeling a very social mood. Maybe this is something I should fix, and I need to be more comfortable just asking people. So maybe I should just ask someone, oh, can I Venmo you $100 for cash? But then I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me think. Oh, I remember. Trader Joe's has cash. So the reason I remember this is because I was with one of my friends at Trader Joe's, and then they were really confused by, when it says, do you want cash back when you pay at Trader Joe's? Well, I was very confused about that at first too. But then I realized what it means is if you click the option, it charges your credit card, and then the attendant gives you cash. And so I got 100. I was like, okay, let me just go to Trader Joe's. And so I go to Trader Joe's, and I was like, okay, let me buy some stuff from Trader Joe's. So I buy pitted prunes and some hand soap from Trader Joe's. Very nice. And then so after Trader Joe's, I buy the things. I get $100 in cash, and then I go back to Chinatown. I walked all the way to Trader Joe's. It was like a mile walk, and then I biked back because I was like, okay, I don't want to walk this again. So I biked back, and then I finally go to the rice rolls place. Yay! And then it turns out being really good. I think New York food compared to Philly University City prices is so much cheaper in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe it's just Chinatown, but the Chinatown in Philly is kind of overpriced sometimes and not even that good quality. But the Chinatown in New York, oh, that was good. It's so big. I didn't realize it's so expansive too, but it's also just very nice. I liked everything about the Yinji rice rolls place. Anyways, that was good. After that, I was like, okay, now I need a haircut. So then I walked into a hair salon. Very cheap, $18. Best haircut I've ever gotten, honestly. I think this is the best haircut I've received externally. So I'll definitely be going back there from now on. But I was very happy. The lady was very nice. Yeah. And after that, I went to buy some shampoo and body wash. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. But this is the part where it gets exciting, right? So after this, I'm full. I have everything I need. I can just go home, right? But I'm like, you know what? Do I really want to just go home and lie in my bed and scroll reels? No. So let me just walk around. And so I walked around a little bit, and then I stumbled across this really nice park in Chinatown. I forgot what park it's called, but there's this park in Chinatown with a bunch of old Chinese grandmas and grandpas walking around. And so it was this nice park, and I see this sign, right? And I'm walking in the park, and there's this table, and there's a guy sitting at a table. It's one of those tables that have the chessboard on them. It's like a chessboard engraved into the table, so people could play chess on it. But I don't think Chinese people play chess, they play checkers. And so there are a bunch of Chinese people playing checkers, not on the chessboard, but they're just around. Okay, anyways, you guys get the idea. So in this park, it's just random Chinese people singing. Oh, they're so out of tune too. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize they're kind of out of tune. I remember I sang with them once. I don't remember them being this out of tune, but there's like the traditional Chinese like violin playing. It's a bit out of tune. There's like two of them playing different songs and singing. It's a bit noisy, but it's nice. Tons of birds in that park too. I didn't realize how many birds there are in New York. But yeah, it's a nice park. And then there's just, amongst all the Chinese grandpas and grandmas, there's this young white guy, and sitting there with a tea set on the chessboard table, with a sign that says, "Come for free tea and free conversation." And I was like, wow, that's really nice. Like I keep seeing these reels about like people doing these types of things, but I've never thought I never thought I'd experience one of these things firsthand, because I feel like New York is one of those places where people just do things like these, that especially in modern world and modern internet, there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, let's just have a conversation or have like spontaneous street interviews with people on the street, right? So I'm like, okay, why not? Actually, no. At first, I saw the sign, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then I was like kind of scared. I was really sleepy, and I still wasn't really feeling it. I woke up pretty grumpy, honestly, today. But I still wasn't really feeling it. And so I sat on a random bench. I just sat there. It was nice. I sat there for like 10, 15 minutes just looking about, just taking a break. And then after, I was like, okay, might as well just go. I kind of want some tea, too. Might as well just go talk to this guy. Like how scary could it be? And so I'm like, okay, let me just go talk. And so I go sit down. This guy, apparently he's my age. He's 1 year older than me. He's also working in CS. Very cool guy. His name was Keegan. Working in New York. And he's Canadian, actually. Very interesting. He was homeschooled in near Austin until in high school he went to Canada, and then he goes to the University of Waterloo now. Very interesting guy. I think, we talked a little bit. I forgot what we started talking about, but then, while we were talking, getting to know each other a little bit, these this couple, or not couple, they're dating, but one was 58, the guy was 58, the girl is like 56, or maybe vice versa. He was from Peru, and then the girl's from the Dominican Republic. I was like, oh wow, okay. This is so awesome, oh, wow, New York has such a diverse plethora of people. I was like, wow. And so we talked for a while, and then he talks about how Peru is the second biggest exporter of seafood in the world. Not biggest exporter, biggest consumer of seafood in the world. Number one is China. It's all in Chinatown, by the way. And then they were saying how they're going to go to the casino later. And yeah, I don't know, they seemed really sweet. It was very refreshing just talking to people, but that was nice. And then they had to go. And then after this, while I was eating the rice rolls, actually, I noticed there were a couple of people sitting next to me in the morning. And these people in the morning, I was just like, okay, they're just random college kids or something. And I just like didn't really pay too much mind to them. But they ended up standing at the table. They definitely didn't recognize me, I think, because I gotten the haircut and like stuff like that. But I recognized them, and I didn't even tell them this at the end of the day. I probably should have, but they walk up to the table and they're like, "Oh, what's this? Can we have some tea?" Oh, the tea is great, by the way. It's just traditional Chinese tea. It's this guy's hobby, and he really likes connecting with people. He's also very, he's kind of like very, what's the word? Buddhist, Taoist, very Eastern-ish type philosophy. Not really. It's very meditative and present philosophy. He kept telling me about how he really wanted to be present, and I thought it was very good. Like, he had definitely a very thoughtful and logical guy, thinks a lot, and is very methodical in his approach to how he wants to treat his life, right? He told me he cut out his phone use, no social media, his text only on his phone. It's just like a little bit nerdy, I think, but that's in a good way, right? I think I'm quite a bit nerdy too, but in that way. And then just like very methodical and analytical, pragmatic, but amiable. So very nice guy, Keegan. And then these three guys show up, and then they're all Catholic, which I have nothing against religion, by the way. I'm just totally not religious, and I don't really talk to anyone about religion at all, because I just am not in that too much contact with religious people, you know. And so they actually come and I talk to them a bit. One of them turns out to be a Penn alumni, which is absolutely insane to me. They graduated in 2024. His name is, let me think. I remember the names. Oh no, Jason. Their name is Jason, and they want to go into law, but they were talking a lot about, well, anyway, Keegan goes to refill his teapot or something. We're talking there for 20 minutes, and then Keegan will come back. Throughout this entire time, I'm like, should I leave? Like, when should I leave? But then I'm like, you know what? Let me just sit here. Like, if he doesn't have anywhere to go, or like they don't have anywhere to go, I don't have anywhere to go. Let's just sit here, you know? Like, there's no problem. Just what else I'm gonna do? Am I even gonna do? You know? Not in a like, oh my god, this is so boring. I'm in a more of a sense like, you know, it's okay to talk. You know, I think like I have this like, oh, when you're talking with a stranger, maybe at max you have like a 10-minute conversation and then you leave, you know, because you're meant to be stranger. Like, no one talks to a stranger and becomes their friend, or people do, and I should be comfortable doing that, but I feel like that's such a foreign concept to me, talking to and befriending a utter stranger in the middle of New York City. You know what I mean? Like, I think this type of it, like in college, right? It's like, okay, because you're in college and people are meant to make friends in college, but I guess this is how you just make friends in cities. You just talk to people and then you just become friends, I guess. I mean, I'll talk a little more about how the day went, but essentially, yeah, we sit down, he comes back, and then we just start talk about a lot of things. And I realize I'm not very comfortable talking in front of strangers that much in like close conversation settings. Like, I think I have a lot of things I want to say, a lot of things I'm pretty confident and have pretty confident thought processes and solutions and just like thoughts on, and I think I'm able to communicate them decently well as I do it on Shnuckatwo. But whenever I find that I try to communicate that to people, even to my closest friends, I notice I just like freeze up and say that, or like think that I just don't have that much, like what I have to say is not important, it's not well formed, it's not intellectual sounding, you know. And this used to not be as much of a problem. Now it's such a big problem. I noticed today. It's just that I'm afraid of being judged for what I say. You know, I have no confidence or grounding, internal validation on my thoughts and opinions. I think part of the reason why is because my belief system and ideas and thoughts have become so, you know, internally repetitive, and just like, I don't practice speaking my thoughts to people that much either, to the point that I'm just uncomfortable doing so. You know, I have no confidence in doing so, if that makes sense. So I think that's part of it. But yeah, I made it to another section without dying. Wow. Anyways, yeah. So as I was saying, yeah, I sat there. Most of the time I was in silence. I didn't talk that much. It was mostly Keegan talking, Keegan is a very, as I said, intellectual, like, thinking, build the systems from the ground up type guy. And then we talk about a ton of topics, actually, not verses, but with these three Catholics, they know each other from church. And so these three people are all Catholics. And so let me just give a quick persona, because I found this group to be so insanely diverse in personality, right? Because first of all, you have I talked about Keegan, then you have me, and I think in this group I was just being very quiet, pensive, and occasionally just talking, like very go with the flow, very introverted in this group because I'm just not comfortable talking, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm kind of shy with new people, which is kind of crazy. I'm really not shy when it comes to like doing stuff in public when I'm supported by my friends, but when I'm by myself, I think part of it is I feel like vulnerable, but also when I actually treat the strangers on the street as like actual people and try to converse with them, obviously I get nervous. If I'm just doing goofy stuff and embarrassing myself in front of strangers when I think of them as strangers, I don't get nervous, if that makes sense. So there's kind of a difference there. Like once I take a person seriously and take them in as a person, that's when I start to become nervous, if that makes sense. Anyways, like I think there's a certain threshold you have to, in today's world, treat people as people. Like you don't treat, or in my opinion, you don't really treat, like let's say your cashier as a person. You really don't. You give them the niceties and the motion of treating them as a person, but you never really stop and think. Maybe people do, and maybe some people are really mindful of it, but I think it's really hard to be in like a city like New York, right? You cannot pass by every single person or interact with every single person and then after that interaction be like, oh, I wonder what their family is like, yada yada yada. I genuinely think like having that type of curiosity and wanting to know each singular person like that is very exhausting and impossible to keep up, so I think there is definitely some barrier where a person becomes a person, right? Because like, and it's not, I'm not saying this is a good thing or a thing that should happen. I'm just saying it is definitely a phenomenon that happens to almost everyone. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but there's no way everyone treats the cashier as a person. Not in the sense that they don't view them as human, but in the sense that they don't give them enough acknowledgement in the brain to actually put them into a physical other person, It's just like fully a person with their own life and emotions and stuff like that. That's the first time I died. Wow. But yeah, anyways, what was I saying? Oh, why am I embarrassed? Okay, why am I embarrassed? Anyways, then you have Jason, this Penn alum, who wants to go into law and wants to study philosophy too, but more of a like theological philosophy of something called the natural law. And that's essentially like I guess not necessarily uniquely or entirely Catholic or Christian idea of like almost like objective morality, but basically the idea that like in nature there's certain things that are right and wrong, right? Natural law, natural order. And I definitely disagree with this. I think all morality is for sure subjective. There's no such thing as objective morality in my opinion. Obviously there are arguments for and against, and I don't think less of anyone that believes in objective morality. I think it's just two very different ways of looking at the world, because in my opinion, where does morality come from at the end of the day? It just comes from your emotions, what you yourself feel is right or wrong. And so someone could be taught that, killing babies is okay, and at the end of the day, the only reason why that's viewed badly by us is because evolutionarily, obviously killing babies would be bad for our species as a whole. So somewhere in our brains, evolutionarily, we have a certain aversion to that. And so anything immoral we feel is simply that evolutionary aversion telling us that that's wrong. That's the gut feeling that we get, that it's wrong. It's an emotion at the end of the day. All these right and wrong at the end of the day, it's just emotion. And so since everyone's emotions are different, how can there be an objective right or wrong, right? The only objective right or wrong you could conclude is maybe if you took the average of all of humanity's emotions and used that as some sort of morality indicator, which I don't think is very possible, or neither, like, I wouldn't even say that's the actual objective morality. So there just is not, right? And so yeah, we had quite a discussion about this, and like, I don't know, it's just very interesting, very nice to have this conversation. Oh, let me talk about the characters of these people. So first, Jason is very, like, I don't know how to say this, how to describe him. He's just kind of like a very New York vibes. I don't know how else to describe it. He's very just like lackadaisical. Like, think of a New York cab driver, you know, kind of like that, like blah, 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 like Italian, angry-ish. Not angry at all. Just very, like, says a lot of things. Very expressive. Yeah, like always like sitting lopsided-ish. I'm not trying to be derogatory. I'm just trying to paint a picture. Okay. Then you have this other guy, whose name is let me think. Damon, like Matt Damon, and he's working for his dad's orchestra or something. He's a bit older than the other two. He's so strange. Like, I don't want to be mean, but he is just super unique. I've never really met a person like him, I guess. I don't know, it was kind of strange. He would just, like, zone out in our conversation. I don't think he really enjoyed the things we were talking about. Like, I was being as quiet as him, I think, except I was listening very intently, thinking about it. He was just zoned out, looking into the distance. And then, yeah, he was just like, yeah, he would just occasionally, like, say the most random thing, like, oh, something's really poop, my farts are gonna kill you or something because they're so smelly. Okay, maybe not that. Okay, that was really bad misrepresentation. But I don't know, something along those lines. I just remember that he just would say random things, and then everyone would be like, "What?" And then we'd go back to talking about what we were talking about. So he was a bit awkward, but it was nice. Like, he was so earnest. I don't know, like, when he was talking, he had the, like, hospitality voice, like, very earnest, very eager, very kind type of voice. But then he would just, like, then just go silent, or, like, I don't know, it would be weird. And then there was this other guy, what's his name? Okay, man, these are all around, like, my age, like 22. This class of 24, so maybe like 23. Some people maybe 26. I don't know. Around our age. The last guy's name is John. He was this tall, somewhat buff, very permanent scowl on his face type. But he's like, yeah, like the first thing he did when he sat down was start smoking a cigarette. And he's like, "You don't mind, right?" Like, he offered me one. I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." And I'm like, okay. Like, I actually don't mind, because I grew up in China and there's cigarettes everywhere, so I actually kind of like the smell, so I'm kind of fond of it. So, but I've never smoked, don't smoke, I think. But he's just, like, really, like, edgy guy, like, super. And he was talking about how he hated his work. Not hated, but he works until 1 a.m. the entire week as an accountant. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds horrible. So no wonder he's like that. But I think he's kind of addicted to nicotine. He had a lot of Zins and a lot of cigarettes. It's okay, yeah. I mean, I think he was quite thoughtful too, was contributing to the conversation. But anyways, all these three people two of them were, like, very Catholic, like traditional Catholic, like disagreed about LGBT rights, which, yeah, so it was quite Catholic. But it was fine. Like, I think, like, that beliefs aside, you know, like, they were really nice people. And, like, this super, like, if I saw this John guy on the street, I would be scared. He looked really aggressive, but he's trying to be really nice, you know. Very funny, very, like, direct, deadpan guy. And so we talked about a bunch of stuff. We talked about love, like this Keegan guy, the T guy, the software T guy, had a girlfriend in Canada, and okay, hopefully they don't see this video, but even if they do, like who would, yeah, anyways. And then he was just wondering, like, should, like, he go back, like, and be okay with how he felt, because he doesn't think their relationship was good enough, so he was like, okay, let's just not do long distance. And so, like, he's like, you know, I want to find something better, but what if there isn't better, essentially? What was the question he was asking? Like, how do I know if I am settling with my previous girlfriend or if there's something else and is okay for me to go search? And I was like, wow, this is like the questions I think about all the time, you know? And then we had a good discussion about that, and it's just like, it's you know, one of my other friends has his favorite word is sonder, right? And it's the idea that, like, every single person has a super unique life outside of yours. And that's what I felt today. I mean, like, these are 3 random people that were next to me in the restaurant that I would have just not had a second thought had I not sat at this table and had they not turned up. You know, like, it's kind of crazy. Like, if I just, like, not gone towards the park, I wouldn't have met these people at all, you know? So it's kind of crazy. I mean, yeah. Anyways, then we talked for like 2-3 hours. It's very nice. And then at the end of the 2-3 hours, this homeless guy starts harassing one of the grandpas, and then, like, one of the people calls the police, and then we leave. Oh my god, it's so crazy, so New York. And then and then we're like, okay, let's just go eat. And so then we walk around, and then I just following them, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm done, let's just go. And then we see this Cuban restaurant. We eat the Cuban restaurant. It's great. I thought I didn't like Cuban food when I had it in Florida, but this was good. I got a Cubano, and then corn. Very nice, very flavorful. Still didn't rank out my belly. It was very great. And then yeah, and then I walked home, and then I saw a car crash on the JFK Expressway. I was biking home, actually. I biked home on First Avenue. It was so beautiful. Like, holy cow, I felt, you know, I really like Chinese cities, I thought. But then I just realized I really just like big cities and being in the city. It was so lively. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I was biking down, like, after everyone had left, I was just biking down First Avenue and looking at how many people there were. Like, holy cow. This is, like, such a great feeling of, like, connectedness you have with the city, because I did connect with the city. We connected with 4 random people in the city, you know, and it's like kind of crazy. And I was just biking through it, and I was just thinking, I was like, wow, I'm really gonna enjoy my time here in New York, because it's so awesome. It's so big and just feels like endless, you know, because in a sense it kind of is. But yeah, and then I got home, I put my groceries away, my dried prunes and stuff. And then, yeah, tomorrow I start work, so, I don't know, it's just like, New York is really such a unique place, I think. I mean, probably any city is, that has a lot of people, but New York is just one of those cities that's just so big enough that you will have these types of experiences. Maybe any city is kind of like this. Maybe it's not that specific to New York, you know, but I think what's valuable is just, I really need to take after this Keegan guy, because it's very brave to put up a sign and just be like, oh, free conversation, free tea, and you not know what happens, right? Like, I think very much so if I had walked past this, you know, and like, if people walk past it and they think like, oh, this is like so stupid, or like, what is this person doing? But if you actually take a moment and get to know them, they're just people, and like, everyone around you is just a person at the end of the day, with their own lives, own stories, and own personality, you know, and so diverse. And I think New York is one of those places that's even more diverse on top of that, and that's part of what I want to explore, right? Like, person from Guatemala, Dominican Republic, you know. I mean, the other 3 people were all from, like, around here, like New Jersey or New York. But still, like, I was watching this reel, and it's like, if you spin a wheel, you can go to pick a country to go to a cuisine. But New York probably has every single country's cuisine. Every single country, in my opinion. Right? Like, what country would New York not have as cuisine? There's so many people here from so many different places. And so that's the next thing I just want to see. But yeah, I think in a place with so many people, one of the things I did really well as a kid, my favorite story to tell people, I don't really tell this story that much, but my favorite story to tell to myself is a story of my first grade self. I was in China, and I was at a KFC, and this random lady sat next to me, and I said hi to her. As a first grader, because I just didn't know better. I didn't know you weren't supposed to say hi to strangers. Because you aren't. You really aren't. Who says hi to strangers? If you're in a shop and someone sits next to you, do you ever say hi? No. Like, it's against social norm to do so, almost. But every time I've done so, it's been such a rewarding experience, and I really should just do it. You know, I did it in Austin, too, at this restaurant. I was just, like, by myself because I was there for an interview, and I just started talking to this guy, and it's like, they have very interesting things to say, and like, I think we gain too much hand-picked knowledge and like secondhand conversational knowledge. I think Reels knowledge, right? Like, I feel like our sense of the world is so insanely heavily shaped by Instagram Reels. I'm serious. Or the media we see. It's essentially the media we consume. But for our generation, it's like Reels and TikTok, right? How do we think about things? How do we see what the world is like? My impression of New York City is from Reels of New York City, of people doing things in New York City, of the random interview things in New York City. My impression of humanity, of humans and general humanity and like thought processes is all the random interview videos I find on Instagram Reels. But that's such a secondary source in a sense. You know, like, I think there is something different about experiencing all these things and all these people firsthand. You know, it's very different from experiencing them secondhand. Because you don't, I don't know, like when you just scroll past them, you don't really see them as people. It's just an information point. And maybe it is the same thing as seeing them as people, but not seeing them as people. Maybe it's the same, like, efficacy. But I just think there's something particular about actually taking the time to get to know them and talk to them, actually learn about them firsthand. And that's how you become more knowledgeable about the world as a whole. You know, in a sense, I felt like I was like a politician, you know, talking to my constituents. But I'm not a politician. These aren't my constituents. It's more so that I'm just a person learning about the world, you know? Because at the end of the day, how much do I know about the world? How much do I know about lives of random people? You know, like, how do I know what it's like, what Catholics think like? Sure, I can read online. Sure, I can see the reels. Sure, I can have my preconceived notions. I have preconceived notions about every type of person, you know, but unless I go to actually talk to them, I won't know whether actually, I'm sure this one person is an accurate representation of them as a whole, but it's so important to, I think, use firsthand experiences to build your idea of the world and the people in it. And I think, you know, maybe for a lot of people this isn't a problem because they grow up in cities or whatnot, but I just think my view of who people are, I don't have any experience with real people and people's lives. I don't have any first-hand storytelling of the world. The only first-hand storytelling of the world I have is through my friends that grew up in the same town I did, or went to Penn, which is a good school, you know, or my parents. And that is such a narrow view, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, your college is still such a bubble. And, like, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, there's so many people out there, and, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's just cool to get to finally be able to know them a little bit more. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. I mean, New York is a wonderful place. One last thing to connect this is that I feel like this is the first time, like, I've had a quote-unquote new experience, if that makes sense. I think one of my friends that went solo traveling in Asia probably had this experience their freshman summer, but I'm having my junior summer, which is fine. But I've never really, like, I think, okay, my first point is like people should just talk to strangers more, because there's so much dead time spent. Like, let's say you're on the subway or on the train. Like, I saw on the train on the way here, people just talking, starting a conversation. There's so much dead time there that you should just fill up instead of looking at your phone, right? Why not find a random person on the train and have a conversation with them? Why not find a random person on a plane and have a conversation with them? We all have the desire to do this, but none of us has the heart and the bravery to actually do this. You know, the courage. We all want to do this, I feel like. Or maybe not we all, but I feel like a lot of us that crave connection, like, I don't know, it's just fun talking to people, you know? It's like you always learn something new. The thing that's new about this world is never things. You can run out of things. Okay, maybe that's not the point, but like, you can always, like, if you run out of things to be excited about, there will always be enough people out there to be excited about. Every single person is so insanely unique. It's crazy. And it's even more disparate because in college, people are kind of similar sometimes because, you know, they're on college. But once you get out there, you realize there's so many different people. Anyways. So just talk to people is my point. And then my second thing is, this is the first time I feel like I've felt excited about something new that's happened. It's like a very, very novel experience. And as it was like jumping from, you know, like definitely jumping from high school to college was very new. But this, living by myself in New York, just doing random things, is another one of those jumps. You know, I live here in the city. It's crazy to think about. You know, I think college feels different because you feel like you're living in college, even though I live in Philly. It's University City. It doesn't feel real because the people around me are all my friends. I'm just a random person in this random city, not random city, in this ginormous city, you know? And that's kind of crazy to me. Anyways. Yeah. So it's good. And I wonder if I'll ever run a new experiences like this, but I don't know. I think if I keep talking to people, I'll keep learning new things, and it'll keep being pretty great. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I'm pretty excited for my job, honestly. I'll probably make another Shnuckatwo video about it. Like, every time I have a new phase in my life, it's always very interesting. But hopefully I enjoy it. I need to go to my friend's surprise birthday before, so I don't know if that's a good idea because I'll be getting home late, but it's okay. You know, friends are important. I was thinking about saying friends are more important than job, and then I was thinking, oh, what if my future employer sees this? But hopefully it's fine. I mean, I guess they would agree too, right? Maybe not. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Yeah, New York is really great. Like, the whole reason people should travel and people go places is to learn about the places. And what better way to learn about the places, learn about the United States, learn about the country, than by talking to its people at the end of the day. And that is definitely something tourists and visitors and us as humans just do not do enough. Properly learn about the world through people, through the eyes of others, instead of secondhand accounts and stories that other people tell. You know, you could hear a story someone told of a country. You can walk around the country and look for yourself, interpret for yourself over the short span you're there. And have all these preconceived notions about these ideas, concepts, categories, places. But only when you actually talk to the people that have gone through those things, that have their unique perspectives, that are in those categories, do you get the complete picture. And that's what New York City gives you the opportunity to do. So take advantage of it. Anyways, that's all I have for today. This is why New York City is so amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe I should have gotten to the point quicker for better engagement and for this to be a more useful video, but whatever. You know, it is my channel at the end of the day for my own sake, and if anyone else is interested, they can watch too. So if you guys are interested and want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts. if you've ever been to New York, or is this similar to any other cities too? Are other cities like this too? Yeah, anyways, how long is this video? Oh my god, 40 minutes. Wow, what a long video. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.